Do you know where the concept of modern journalism originated? Well, let's take a journey back in time to the dawn of American journalism in the 19th century, a period rife with change and innovation. The newspaper industry was just beginning to gain prominence, and two key players were about to step onto the stage and transform the landscape of news reporting: Joseph Pulitzer and William Randolph Hearst. These two names would soon become synonymous with the birth of modern journalism as we know it today. Let's start with Joseph Pulitzer. Born in Hungary in 1847, Pulitzer immigrated to the United States as a young man. He didn't have much in the way of material possessions, but he had ambition and a relentless desire to make a mark. After serving in the Civil War, Pulitzer found his calling in the news business. His knack for understanding public sentiment and his commitment to truth and justice helped him rise rapidly in the world of journalism. Now let's turn our attention to William Randolph Hearst. Born into a wealthy mining family in 1863, Hearst was a man of privilege. Unlike Pulitzer, he was born with a silver spoon. But like Pulitzer, Hearst too was drawn to the power and potential of the printed word. After attending Harvard University, Hearst took control of the San Francisco Examiner, a newspaper his father had received as payment for a gambling debt. It was here that Hearst began to hone his journalistic prowess. Both Pulitzer and Hearst recognized the power of the press to shape public opinion. They understood that newspapers could be more than just sheets of paper filled with facts. They could be a force for change, a beacon of truth in an uncertain world, and a platform for the voiceless. As we move into the late 19th century, these two men will transform the landscape of American journalism. Their rivalry, their innovations, and their indomitable spirit will pave the way for the era of modern journalism. So brace yourself as we delve deeper into their fascinating journey in the upcoming scenes. Joseph Pulitzer, an immigrant from Hungary, bought the New York World in 1883 and started a revolution. Pulitzer had a vision for journalism that was different from his peers. He believed that newspapers should not just be about delivering the news, but also about entertaining and educating the masses. He was a pioneer in his field, introducing new ideas that would forever change the landscape of American journalism. Pulitzer's first innovation was the use of illustrations. He recognized that a picture could tell a story as effectively as 1,000 words. So he began incorporating drawings and cartoons into his paper. These visuals brought the stories to life, capturing the attention of readers in a way that text alone could not. They made the news more accessible, more relatable, and ultimately more engaging. But Pulitzer didn't stop at illustrations. He also introduced sensational news coverage. This was a dramatic shift from the dry, factual reporting of the time. Pulitzer's papers were filled with stories of crime, scandal, and intrigue. They had headlines that screamed for attention and articles that kept readers on the edge of their seats. This sensationalism, while controversial, undeniably drew in a larger audience. And then there was the Sunday edition. Before Pulitzer, Sunday was a day of rest for newspapers. But Pulitzer saw an opportunity. He introduced a Sunday paper filled with features, serial stories, and special sections on women, sports, and literature. This was not just a newspaper. It was a weekend event. Families would gather around to read it together, making the Sunday edition a beloved tradition. These innovations attracted a broader audience and increased the circulation of the New York World. They made the newspaper a crucial part of everyday life for Americans, transforming it from a simple news source into a cultural phenomenon. Pulitzer set the stage, but soon a new competitor would enter the scene, challenging his dominance. But that, dear listeners, is a story for another time. For now, let's marvel at the genius of Joseph Pulitzer, a man who truly understood the power of the press. Enter William Randolph Hearst, the son of a millionaire miner who purchased the New York Journal in 1895. Now, Hearst was not one to shy away from a challenge. In fact, he relished it, especially when it came to outdoing his rival, Joseph Pulitzer. He was determined to make his mark, and he had a plan to do it. Hearst's strategy was nothing short of aggressive. He would literally steal Pulitzer's thunder by hiring away his staff, right from the editors to the cartoonists. He would match Pulitzer's sensationalist style, not just matching it, but often outdoing it. Hearst knew that to win the game, he had to play it better than Pulitzer, and play it he did. But Hearst wasn't content with just matching Pulitzer's style. He wanted to surpass it. He He wanted to give the people more than what they expected, and so he began to focus on stories that were not just sensational, but also controversial. He knew that controversy sells, and he used it to his advantage. One such story was the Spanish-American War. Hearst saw the war as an opportunity to boost his paper's popularity. He used his paper as a platform to influence public opinion about the war. His stories were sensational, they were controversial, and they were popular. And they did what Hearst had hoped for. They boosted the popularity of the New York Journal. The tactics that Hearst used were not without controversy. Many criticized him for his sensationalist style and his focus on controversy. But Hearst was unfazed. He knew that he was doing what he needed to do to make his paper popular. And he was successful. In fact, Hearst's tactics were so successful that they led to a whole new era in journalism. The competition between Hearst and Pulitzer was heating up, leading to what we now call the yellow journalism era. This era was characterized by sensationalism, controversy, and a focus on profit over truth. But that's a story for another time. The rivalry between Hearst and Pulitzer escalated, leading to a period known as yellow journalism. This era, characterized by its sensational headlines, dramatic pictures, and little regard for facts, marked a significant shift in American journalism. Now, what exactly is yellow journalism, you might ask? Well, picture this. A newspaper featuring a headline that screams scandal or disaster, a page filled with dramatic images that evoke strong emotions. The stories, often exaggerated or even completely fabricated, were designed to attract readers at all costs. Truth and accuracy were secondary to the pursuit of sales, and this was the essence of yellow journalism. During this time, Hearst and Pulitzer's newspapers became the leading voices in this style of reporting. Their pages were filled with sensational stories, stirring up public sentiment and influencing policy. One of the most notable instances was during the Spanish-American War. Hearst's New York Journal and Pulitzer's New York World played pivotal roles in shaping public opinion, with their sensational reports amplifying the call for American intervention. Their stories of Spanish atrocities, many of which were exaggerated or entirely untrue, fueled a sense of outrage and patriotism among their readers. However, it's important to note that yellow journalism wasn't without its critics. Many traditional journalists and readers decried the lack of journalistic integrity and the blatant disregard for truth. Yet, despite these criticisms, yellow journalism continued to thrive, driven by the public's appetite for sensational stories. In a way, yellow journalism was a reflection of the changing societal norms and values of the time. It was a product of the intense competition between Hearst and Pulitzer, a testament to the power of the press, and a precursor to today's tabloid journalism and clickbait headlines. While yellow journalism had its critics, there's no denying its impact on the newspaper industry and American society. It changed the way news was reported. It influenced public opinion, and it forever altered the landscape of American journalism. Both Hearst and Pulitzer left indelible marks on the world of journalism. The echoes of their rivalry still resonate in today's media landscape, and their legacies are far from forgotten. The first thing that jumps to mind when we think of these two titans is, of course, the birth of tabloid journalism. The sensationalism and drama they brought to newsstands across America were unheard of at the time. Their newspapers were filled with lurid tales, scandalous stories, and yes, even fake news. This was a strategy they employed to draw in readers, and it worked. It might seem like a far cry from the sober fact-based reporting we value today, but it was undeniably a game changer. It brought newspapers to the masses, making them accessible, entertaining, and above all, influential. But that's not all. Hearst and Pulitzer didn't just create a new style of journalism, they also set a new standard for its power. They demonstrated how a well-placed story could sway public opinion, ignite social change, or even spark a war. In the hands of Hearst and Pulitzer, the pen was indeed mightier than the sword. And then, of course, there are the Pulitzer Prizes. Established by Joseph Pulitzer himself, these awards have become the gold standard for excellence in journalism. They're a testament to Pulitzer's belief in the value of quality reporting and his commitment to rewarding it. Every year, journalists around the world strive to earn this prestigious honor, and in doing so, they carry on Pulitzer's legacy. Hearst's legacy, meanwhile, lives on in the media conglomerate he founded, which today includes some of the most influential newspapers, magazines, and television networks in the world. The story of Hearst and Pulitzer is a testament to the power of the press and the role of journalism in shaping public opinion. Their rivalry, their innovations, and their enduring influence remind us of the vital role that journalism plays in our society.